Hello everyone and welcome to your Mercury retrograde special horoscope. Now, this is the third Mercury retrograde season of the year 2022, and this Mercury retrograde begins on the 9th of September and lasts until the 2nd of October. Mercury retrograde is going to begin from Mercury being at 8 degrees of the sign of Libra, and it will retrograde back to the 24th degree of the sign of Virgo. But you can see the chart, so we'll go through the chart of this Mercury retrograde together. And also, this is the Mercury retrograde horoscope where I do need your support because I'm a solar and lunar Gemini, so this is really going to affect me, especially that when it gets into Virgo, it squares my sun and moon. And I also would like to invite the spirit of another brilliant astrologer, Catherine, to inspire me. Don't get me wrong, she's a living spirit, she's a living astrologer, but she's already served humanity in that sense. So let us begin. So this is where we're on the 9th of September, and on this date Mercury is at 8 degrees of the sign of Libra. Now, Mercury in the sign of Libra is very important because this is the partnership area of our lives, and partnerships in our human lives many times translate into contracts, into agreements, into friendships, all sorts of alliances. And Libra is ruled by Venus, and there is already synergy between the planets because Venus is in Mercury's home sign of Virgo. So this is where Mercury has a really strong influence, but Venus already asks us to consider the heart, to consider value, to consider dignity, to consider basically everything that healthy, please don't get me wrong, healthy pride and sense of healthy pride means to us personally, to weave that into everything that we are doing. And look, on this date, Venus opposes the moon. So maybe the universe, maybe our emotional world already is preparing us for this, to have feeling in everything that we do. Feeling must be a very good bedfellow with ration, Mercury, a mercurial energy. And in this way, if we have this balance working within ourselves, also the sun, why is my mouse not working? Sorry. Here it is. So the sun is in the sign of Virgo as well. This puts a great emphasis on Mercury and the ration, but again, Mercury is the guest of Venus. So everything within our relationship values, contracts, what people have in common, even within their marriage, within their relationships, is going to be put on the table. Now, marriage-wise and relationship-wise, this is a rather complex energy because you see, Mercury, as it goes back into the sign of Virgo, it will oppose Neptune, and then they will hold a T-square with Mars. So this Mars in Gemini, by that time it will be at 20 degrees of Gemini, and Mars also goes retrograde in the sign of Gemini, but not during Mercury retrograde. So, but Mars will be in shadow during Mercury retrograde. So relationship, partnerships, there is the past, everything we've been together, the common values, Mars, everything that we have achieved. Let not this separate partners, me, what I put to the table, what you put to the table, because this is Gemini's dark side, the individualism. Gemini is also a bit Uranian as well, you know. Third decan of Gemini, I'm third decan Gemini sun, so yes, there is this desire of individualism So for marriages and relationships, this is like walking on glass shards. You know what I mean? It's not a comfortable energy, because how do you stay a unit, a couple? How do you put your differences aside under this energy? But again, this is later on, at the end of September. This is where Mercury prepares us for this. The emotional awakening. Venus in the sign of Virgo. What emotional fulfillment means for me personally. Why me personally? Mercury in Virgo. Standards start from the self. Basis. Earth sign. Every earth sign is like that. Let's start from the self. So my values, my emotional world, what happiness means to me. And because Neptune is also going to be involved in the picture, but prepare yourself. Jupiter is going to be involved in the picture. Jupiter, even at this date, is a tiny bit involved in the picture, opposition to Jupiter. But Jupiter is at 5 degrees and Mercury is at 8 degrees, so it's not a very lightning tight, opposition. But faith, spirituality, belief system, worldview, what one believes the future to be, because we are building it ultimately. Sounds like very much like Saturn. Well, here is Saturn, but here is Uranus, and they're square. Of course, it's about the future as well. But where I'm going with this is, this of course takes place under Saturn-Uranus square. Why is this important? Everything about the future. You can't step into the future or start laying the bricks down, the foundations for your future, if your partner and partnerships are not in agreement with your ideologies and worldviews and desires. It doesn't matter what sign you are or what area of life this is. The collective imprint of this energy makes us all enact this one way or another. So faith, and not necessarily religiously, that's one small way of where this can play out. Well, I believe very strongly in this and I want to take my faith further. The other partner says, this is the limit to my faith. I cannot sacrifice more in the name of faith. Where does that lead? Exactly. Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Cancer. Females, I choose my child. Or overprotectedness of females, where they tend to suffocate their children. My child, my baby, I'm not, and this is where the father may not be very happy with this, because let the child experience a bit of life. Don't immediately activates the Gemini energy, the Mars in my worldview about the child, your worldview. So this is a very, very complex energy. So this is where it's all starting. Now, of course, alchemize this. If this Libra thing is, for example, contract work, your work is like a child, because you spend time there, you put your energy there, you grow it. Symbolically, we can very well say your work is like a child. Again, the same situation, you can very easily now apply it to your situation. Second thoughts. But for some people, may this be the most blessed Mercury retrograde, purity. Virgo, and this is where there's a mixture of Virgo and Libra, because okay, Mercury is in Libra, Venus is in Virgo, Sun is Virgo, so purity. May you find that you're very satisfied with that small reward system that your work offers you, because it still fits like a puzzle in your life, and you cancel your plans of going on a wild goose chase somewhere where maybe you want a career change, but you're really not ready for it. Or the world is, there's such a thing in 2022 where the world is not ready for your career change. Transport blockages, visas, paperwork, medical crisis, Virgo, and needless to say, justice crisis. Why justice? Jupiter in Aries, justice, my justice, the justice fight. Mercury activating the sign of Libra, court of justice, diplomacy, talks, negotiations, arbitrary things. You know, anything arbitrary, mediation, for example. Let's talk this over. On the world stage, we can all imagine. Because Mercury retrograde, this recalls the past. What happened, especially, you know, the Taurus, Saturn, Uranus, square, Taurus, Aquarius, that's what I wanted to say. Money, what did you do with the money during COVID? And I'm so sorry, this is an example in the government. So people, what did you do? If the Mercury numbers, Virgo human resources, Virgo any resources on paper, what did you do with it? Justification. The numbers have to match. That's so Virgo. Why don't the numbers match? And in the midst of a big value system change crisis, where, you know, even where series, just one moment please. Let's find series. Here, in Leo. We need to feed the heart as well. Ceres opposing Saturn. What if the future looks grim and our hearts will starve? And where, this is emotional already. This is within your family, partnership, job, contracts. Does your rent starve your heart? Does your job, contract, career, partnership, friends, alliances, Libra, 7th house, or anything Libra, Venusian, basically. The modus operandi, for example, maybe not the career, not the job, the modus operandi starves you. And that's so Virgo-like. The nitty-gritty yet. Again, a friend told me this. The small gesture will immediately speak of the big gesture. So the small reflects the big. Even in, you know, this molecular structure. The atom and the number of atoms and how they're arranged will reflect how solid or gas or whatever the molecule will be. The molecule, so the state of the substance. The same in everything, even in administration, even in any domain. The small leads to the big. So where I'm going with this, we will look for the small in everything. Maybe find the small extremely satisfying, because may this be the blessed Mercury retrograde. May fate lead you, the divine lead you to appreciate that which you have. And then you will not let go of that which you have. But in 2020, I doubt this is... I doubt this is maybe for very, very few people who maybe got on a Neptunian wild goose chase. They were sent on illusion of faith or something like that. And they return to reality like, I have everything I need in my life. I have a good life right now. I don't need dramatic, sudden, drastic changes. I'll go with the flow. My pace. Why not? A good rebalancing with Mercury and releasing the illusion. The illusion will play an important part here. But I'm so sorry. And at the beginning, because the beginning of every retrograde and the aspect the planet holds, they will mark the signature. Mars, trine Mars in Gemini. So what does this tell us? This tells us that exactly you start this Mercury retrograde with the desire, the ambition, the will to figure things out, who your partners are, alliances, contracts, how you want it to look like in the future. Mercury retrograde, everything that you need to do. Libra, first contractual. From the most Virgo-like expressions, gas meter checked, boiler checked, plumbing checked, just maybe for a signature, but health and safety, stuff like that. But it can also be big. Your tenancy or something expires, big insurance expires, big something expires. Do you stay? Do you go? For other people, the hand of fate. Why? Saturn Uranus is at work. Saturn, yes, Uranus square is at work. So you can imagine that fate for a lot of people in many areas of life is knocking at the door. Hey, so, and that we have to adapt our lives. A divorce, which is already in the air, was already in the air. One partner had big hopes and dreams, Neptune, that this is just a temporary thing and they fix it. The other partner became more and more disillusioned by the day. I'm so sorry to say this, but this is healthy. This is where one embraces the destiny. Because the past doesn't matter why. The situation changed, people changed, and change doesn't mean conflict, dirty things. Change just means that reality is in such a way where we are no longer compatible. Why? Because our love story was an alliance. Everyone has to learn from this. It was benefic, beautiful, wonderful. It had so many happy moments. But every alliance does. This teaches both partners to seek deeper into the heart when they fall in love. Or it tells them that it's okay to move on. It's okay. We can still be friends. We can still work it out. But everyone has to go on. It's still okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not doom and gloom. Mercury retrograde in Libra. Old partners come back. They write Mercury. They visit. They write. Communication resumes. It makes you think. It changes the landscape. It changes, Ceres opposing Saturn. How you feel. That which used to once feed your heart. Passion, hobby, love story, person, situation, that which is possible. Because if you lost a person, then it's not possible. But if you still have the person living, then it may be possible. So in Saturn, it requires you to have discernment. So what used to feed you, can it still feed you? That passion, that hobby, that even movie, that philosophy even, anything Venusian, anything Sun, so creative as well. Because that's the house of Leo. And even nutrition-wise, why? Because Ceres is in the house of the Sun, and the Sun is in Virgo. So nutrition, diet changes for a lot of people, including. But anyway, diet change and everything to do with physical body health, etc., etc., it will be part of this energy greatly. And I'm so sorry again to keep you here. And I need to move on to... So here we have Mercury starting to move backwards, not physically. Of course, never physically. A planet never moves backwards. So Mercury is moving, and as we can see, Mercury still holds the trine to Mars. So yes, we're getting to the bottom of things. We have this desire to figure it out. We want to know our truth, who it is that we are, what resonates. But if a partner does the same, then everyone needs to know their truth. those partnerships, alliance who are united by this experience, they are blessed. Like that means that they are such a couple that they're not part of Gemini because they together are one twin, and maybe a situation, another couple, their children or anything else in life is the other twin. But they as a couple are just one twin, if you know what I mean. That's so beautiful. And there are love stories and relation for everyone else who is the twin. How is this working out? This leads to introspection, but in a rather rational, we need to figure why. Mercury rules Gemini, so again, Mars appeals to the mind, mindset, rationality. It has to make sense. Numbers have to add up. This is where Neptune, okay, the faith, the love, the whatever, but how does it look like in numbers? Saturn square with Uranus. How does it look like in the future? Because if the immediate society of the future does not support this, then, for example, you have a talent and everything you need, but you want to have a firm, for example, and reality does not support that. Reality would support you to be like a freelancer or not have a business in that sense. You need to adapt to reality. Even the dream needs to adapt to what reality can offer you. There is a person who I know who dreams of being a nutritionist, if I'm allowed to say this, abroad. Okay, that's absolutely fine, but you never moved in your life away from home, in your life. So let's begin by moving away from home, and let's see how that feels like. Don't jump into leap of faith, okay, but not into oblivion, if you know what I mean. So don't follow his example. Follow your example of wisdom, of adapting to the situation. In work, in career, because this Mercury retrograde will target an alliance or something in your life. It can be, for example, for some people, society, their relationship with society. Some people, circle of friends. Some people, the self in the first house, something to do with the self. Libra ascendant people. Second house, deep value system and money, how you make money, who you make money with. And what do you do with your money, Libra? The other way it. Decisions, investment, erase debt, do I take a loan? Third house mindset, learning. Or for some people, their children's education. Because the short distance travels, how do I get here, there? Dates, times, figuring out, learning, the mind over matter even, for some people. How do I execute on my philosophies? Ninth house. Gemini needs to execute. But why Gemini? Because Gemini is third house energy. Fourth house, family, if it's fourth house, well, you can imagine. Relocation, redecoration, house paperwork, taxes, anything to do with a home's income, complications, or partner finds a job or calls at a different city, having to move away for 6 months. For example, a lot of complications, but needing to readapt. Fifth house. I'm not even going to say anything here. Falling in love with, again, or how? How is this even possible in the fifth house? Falling in love with an old passion that disappointed you? Or someone who you know it's a bad influence, but still, but. So in the fifth house, I don't even want to imagine. Sixth house, health, and a lot to do with your daily routine, good detox. This is just an example. I'm just, not that it's necessarily your case. Seventh house. Ooh. Even if your relationship is the one I mentioned earlier, that you're just one unit. Contracts in your lives. Family. Everyone has, okay, you're a unit, but everyone has family. Something happens in his family, her family, or any kind of his, her, whatever. Something happens in their, then they have to separate. They love each other and everything, soul connection, but physically I have to go and help my family. You have to help your family. We still have to help each other. I gave you a situation. So no one's out of the woods. It doesn't matter. No one's protected from this. 8th house, the past. Traumas, what hurt me, who hurt me, how, who do I learn from, who is the right example, how do I purge, do I listen to my mind, do I listen to my feelings. 9th house, what do I truly believe in? Or for some people, my studies, what do I do with my studies? For some other people, my faith, my religion, is it guiding me on the right long distance travel? Do I relocate to a different country? Here's the opportunity. Do it. Go and do it. Do you do it? I dreamed of this all my life. Uranus falls into your lap and wow, do I have the guts to do it now? It's here in my palm. Do I dare to do it? 10th house, career. Who you are as a professional. Life path. You and your destiny. Do I need to say more? 11th house, friends. Who your friends? Business with friends. Negotiations with friends. Friends, friends, friends. 11th house, your hopes and dreams, your future. 12th house, karmic contracts. People return from the past, family. Your own memories. You have to go back into the past and heal the past. Rewrite your memories. I can very well say this to the 8th house as well. But this is where there's always a partner or there's always a decision, a choice. Libra. Adapted to the energy of Libra. Okay, the house which I mentioned. And I played with expressions, you know, mental vomit, so to speak, of an astrologer. Every astrologer does this. But adapt it. That's like a seed of info, like a guidance. Adapted Libra, decision. The other, it's inanimate, but it's still Venusian and ideal. What happiness means to you, what happiness means to a partner. Compromise, balance is the key to everything. Adapt it to your house and adapt it to the situation in your life. You immediately know. Even if you don't know astrology, by the examples I gave, maybe you kind of already figured out what's going to be for you personally. But then again, maybe not. Surprise, surprise, Uranus. 2020 is where all of us are like in that television show called Surprise, Surprise. It can be any one of us at any moment where the surprise, surprise knocks. The delight, the pleasant surprise, the old person who I used to know, who is abroad, all of a sudden the phone call, he's in my city, there to meet, and that can change everything. An old acquaintance, an old, you never know, an old contract, an old job, an old dream, an old anything, but still new, and a revolutionized form. So it's complex, of course. Sorry, I'm so sorry. So my notes tell me to start heading towards the 23rd of September. So my notes told me to head to 23rd of September because the Sun is conjunct Mercury retrograde at 0 degrees Mercury and the Sun in the sign of Libra. Now, first of all, autumn is here for those of us who live on my side of the planet. Autumn equinox. The Sun enters the sign of Libra. The karmic beginning of the cycle of next 3 months. The miniature. The most immediate cycle, yes. You can imagine relationships on the world stage, what it means diplomacy, where certain wars are going, where certain trends are going. We must not forget for a second that the South Node is in Scorpio. Healthcare stuff, viruses, illnesses, sickness, mysterious stuff happening, truth being revealed. Mars in Gemini, in shadow, media, social media, mainstream media, books, in writing, speech, spoken word, mouth to mouth word, mouth to ear, whatever. Gossip, misinformation. This will be in bloom. So on the world stage, what can we expect but stress, chaos, anxiety? If the Third World War has to be a mediatic one, this is it. In media, in information, word is the weapon. Word, information, programming, the psychology of all of it. The dirt of all of it. Anyway, Mars is the malefic planet, so why not? Why not have this expression? But anyway, 0 degrees of Libra, how will this change? Relationship, partnerships. There will be a new moon in Libra afterwards. Should we? Wait. Also, what I forgot to say, that Mercury, let's go back a little bit, opposes Jupiter in the sign of Aries, faith. But your faith, your immediate needs, that which you are within yourself, your direction in life, you. Of course, there are going to be people who are going to transform this into egocentrism and hyperego, etc. We live in the age of hyperego. The divine help us all when Pluto enters the sign of Aquarius. But anyway. But for many people, it's really not ego. It's what they need to do for themselves. It's a reality check. Wake up from the depression. Wake up from the illness. Wake up from any happiness, any illusion that you're in, and just fight for your future. Whatever this means to everyone individually, of course. So Mercury opposes, that we become aware of it. And you can imagine on the world stage religion, religious battles, ideological battles, the individual against government, against legal battles, legal revolution, legal conflict, big trials. The trials that are going to be in 2022, starting at this time, are going to be never seen before. New. Totally new in the world of legislation, and I was a law student, so I have master's degree in law. The kind of things where we never ever saw this before in human history. Anyway, that's my modest opinion. Who am I? I'm just a no-name astrologer, but this is what I truly believe. And then this Mercury conjunct something illuminates us. This can very well be a person, an ally, a partner. We say yes to something, a decision, and then we need to execute it. Because why? Okay, the ideal's born Libra. Now Mercury and re-enters the sign of Virgo. The drawing board, the Lego pieces in either in total chaos or what we left behind, the resources we need to demolish and redo. So at this day, 23rd, Mercury will re-enter the sign of Virgo, its home sign of Virgo. Am I No, I'm not doing it correctly, sorry. Yes, Virgo, Mercury and Virgo. And that means an erratic Mercury and Virgo. It might be a bit too much for us on that day. Starting the conjunction to Venus, exactly feeling of overwhelm. But it will start reholding the trine to Pluto. Earth trine, so have a lot of inner psychological empowerment or help out there. There is something that gives us strength to do it. Fuel, motivation, determination. So then the moon meets Mercury before the Libra new moon. Ration, the soul meets ration before the Libra new moon. Libra new moon, weighing. Something new is being born. A truth can be one of them. It doesn't need to be material, a new contract. First, all starts with a truth, with a realization. Then, here on my notes, yes, exactly 26th of September is when Mercury retrograde meets Venus in the sign of Virgo. Rationality meets the heart, but exactly the type of energy that I have been mentioning earlier, the value within us. It all starts from the self, cleaning our lives, cleaning our bodies, cleaning everything in our lives, partnerships included. And why am I silently pointing at Mars in Gemini? Because this is how it begins. Remember what I said earlier. This is how it begins. My truth. And I need to mention this in the Mercury retrograde special horoscope, as well as in the Mars one, because Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini, that Mars is the planet of activation. We had in 2021 so very many eclipses in Gemini. I'm exaggerating because we had two, or just one, and one was in 2020, I do believe. Yes, something like that. But we had lunations in Gemini. We had planets conversing in Gemini as well. So that means our mind, mindset, education. Needless to say, this is where the revolution in education system starts with the crisis. But this belongs more in the Mars Gemini retrograde horoscope. And needless to say, regardless, don't even look at how things are now education-wise. Uranus will enter the sign of Gemini. With that I said everything. It will break down the very roots of what education is. With technology, or how, I don't know. I can only hope that not with the kind of technology that I personally would run away from, but the future is not in my hands. Anyway, sorry again, but why am I mentioning all of this? Philosophically speaking, 9th house, this might be someone's Mercury retrograde. What will happen to my children's education? Especially if your child is right now just an embryo, either in your partner's body or in your own body, then you will have this big question mark. Even if your child is just a love in your heart and your partner's heart, your child will be born. So it still concerns you deeply. Or if your child is 1, 2, or very, very young, still it concerns you deeply. You know? So yes, if your child is 9, 7, 9, etc. from onwards, then this Mars retrograde season for you is not gonna be very easy. But neither will this Mercury retrograde season be very easy. I'm so sorry. But also, even at this moment when you're listening to this horoscope, Venus in the sign of Virgo squares this Mars. There was a square between Mars and Venus. So you can imagine that these topics are already somehow raised by other people, by media, by dates coming. If your children need to go back to school in September or anything like that, well, you can imagine that you'll be in this, exactly what I said. Money-wise, resource-wise, your consent-wise to certain education programs, online stuff, technology stuff, moral stuff, religion stuff at school. So maybe some people, this is all they needed from my horoscope. But you can imagine that because Mercury is conjunct Venus, all of these are going to be considered. But also your value and the partner's value, or society's value, or the job's value, or career value. Why? Because when Mercury is in Virgo, career is, and the service you offer, your sacrifice, is everything's at stake, really. Then my notes tell me to go on the 29th, where, as I said, Mercury squares Mars. Mercury and Mars. So it is not an easy energy, especially because the T-square, you see Mars squares Neptune. Mercury opposes Neptune. Mercury squares Mars. So it's not an easy energy. It's really not an easy energy. Because disillusioning, you get to the bottom of things, you decide, you know. And Jupiter is very important because your sense of direction, and this is where Jupiter opposes Sun. That's why Jupiter is in the game. Sun in Libra partnership, Sun debilitated. Ego won't matter. But the ego of others will matter a lot, because that's how you know who not to take with you on your journeys. The ego of others will blaze and shine. The ego of other people will actually shine, but like a soothing, healing, inspirational light, that's who you take with you. And also, this is where Neptune, T-square, Sun opposing Neptune at this time. There will be some people who will have to save other people from their Neptunes, from their own malevolence. This is where a slap. Wake up and save yourself. Leave those who wanna choose to surrender to their Neptunes, addiction, or whatever. Leave them now, because they will drown you too. So healers, empath, astrologers will have slaps from life where wake up and have discernment. Wake up. Who are you serving, Virgo? Who it is that you're serving? Are you serving a cruel master? Who are you feeding with your thoughts, emotions, values, money, time, energy? Who are you serving? What does healing mean to you personally? How much of healing is in the mind? How much of healing is in the mind and not in substances? So you can imagine that if this also hits the news, Mars, and what this means on the world stage, I don't want to even go there. I don't want to include that in my horoscope. I want to block it out. I may be unprofessional or bad astrologer, but I don't want to know what this means collectively, because I will not watch the news. Diplomatically, it's not a pretty sight. It's not an easy. Don't watch the news. You can imagine how that will split people apart. How that will be the cause of divorce. How that will, you don't need to be selfish. Even if you're a totally selfless person and you live in truth, the world, whatever goes on the world stage can cause a divorce. Because that's so powerful. Ideologies clashing. In the age of Aquarius. In the midst of Saturn-Uranus square. Yes, we need to look at the aspects. Mercury square, but trine Pluto. Trine Pluto. Exactly. What you need to do, you need to do. So, let me wrap. I'm so sorry to make this long. I'm very thanking you for your patience, but let me give you certain keywords. Of course, going back to the drawing board, going back to the morality of relationship. If relationship in your life respect your spiritual or moral or any kind of truth in your life, yes, that's included. In marriage, even children are in education, upbringing of children. These are very, very included. The first 7 years of a child's life. How do you educate them? What example you give? This will be a big cause for conflicts and partnerships. Paperwork, contracts, nitty-gritty paperwork, bills, credit, loans, the material stuff in life included in this Mercury retrograde. Income. What's the value of my service? A lot of people will be, trust me, ripped out from mainstream, and they will go they will find communities where they just trade. Food is on the table, in excess maybe, and you will realize, well, some people, wow, this is all I needed in life. Food is on the table. I have everything I need. So, a lot of life changes, value changes, radical ones. Opportunities knock on the door. Are we too blind to see them? Libra. Do our partners weigh us down? Do our friends weigh us down? Does our heart weigh us down? Does our mind weigh us down? What is it that weighs us down? In this Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde season, right now, we are in blender. I'm search for this. We are in the blender. The past is in the blender. The future is in the blender. The present is in the blender. The only way out is for us to press the button. And in the blender, it's like an alchemical reactor. We purify it. We boil it down to the essence of it. We release the past. We find forgiveness. We integrate it into the present. We find a lot of power. Pluto is there giving us a lot of power. Truth. We just need to be man and woman enough to do it. So this is the kind of Mercury retrograde where even if it doesn't lead us anywhere new, it does. We already, even if we don't leave the city, the place, the home, we do. We still do. We left a dimension. If we're still there, then everyone else is different, not just us. So this is the kind of Mercury retro. So be careful with contracts. Be careful with decisions. Don't be impulsive. Angry words. Fights. The past returning. Keep your cool and As I said, don't say things that you don't mean. And, Mercury, be careful with scammers, impersonators. Be careful with lies, deception, low-key. Be careful that deception doesn't come from your partnerships. Neither that you live in the illusion and that your partners are deceiving you and they're not. Let you not be the deceiver unwillingly. So keep cool, keep ration, and use every ounce of wisdom you have in your being. Spirit or body, but use it. And make sure, Neptune, that your faith stays healthy. And then, as you can see, Mercury will start moving back into Libra. And this is where Mars will square Neptune. So this will be a moment when we will not know what reality is anymore. Is it a dream? Is it a fantasy? Is it real? It is the future? Is it the past? Did I go back in time? What is time? So yes, that is Mars squaring Neptune, a lot of it. For some people it can be bliss. Trust me, it can be. Have you lived in the bliss before? Have you craved for it? Years and years. You might, for some people, for other people, I don't, this is untranslatable to me as an I'm too young. I'm only 37. So, I haven't lived enough to be able to give you a really practical example of what this means, really. So I'm so sorry to disappoint. My beard needs to grow more for me to be helpful in that sense. But I'll be sure to give you tarot guidance and horoscopes and everything else. So thank you so much for your patience, for your support, for everything. And until next time, bye for now.